Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm joined again by Epics, and today we're just going to have a bit of a conversation about really the future of the project and where it should go. Right now, the plan going forward is that always has been, the plan has been to get CTF working to a point where Bridge Too Far is modeled and we've got CTF working. So what we're going to do right now is imagine that we're at that place and what the next step should be, and we really wanted to get the community involved at this point and discuss where we should take the project. I always like to plan ahead, so if I know we're going to start to, for example, model a different level, I want to start now and like plan that and try and find some textures for that level and keep a lookout for models that might suit that level and stuff like that. So I think it's good to have these conversations now. So I guess let me start by saying hello, Epics. I know I've kind of glossed over
Hi.
the fact you're here. Yeah.
Just jumping around.
So I guess really to me there's two main options here. When I have Bridge Too Far modeled, the CTF version, like you may still be working out some of the coding at that stage, and I have to make the decision: do I continue modeling Bridge Too Far and the outer bases, or do I model the next map that the community want? And also, while we're having that conversation, what is that next map? Actually, I think I'll ask you, let's just answer the map question first. So if we had to move from Bridge Too Far to another map, let's say everything's done and we're already bored of this map and we want to move on, what would you want to move on to next?
Personally, I would think, well, because there's two ways to look at that. Like we were talking earlier, do you do like a Harbor's Edge where most of these assets are the same? They're already used somewhere else, and we build that map pretty quickly. I mean, maybe that is something.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as a totally different map, yeah, I think backstab personally. It's got to be the next.
Would it have been like your
map.
go-to map? Would it have been the map?
Oh, backstab easily. Yes, I would have been backstab. Bridge Too Far is good. I liked backstab.
I'm assuming then you were a conquest player, like that was
yes,
your main
hardcore
gameplay.
conquest player. Yes,
Yeah.
I did not play much CTF.
Yeah. I mean,
but I think most people in the Discord were. I'm sorry.
Well, what I was going to say was like, that's the one thing about backstab. It's like it's not a good CTF map. It's like it was rarely played as CTF. It just didn't feel very good.
Yeah, and so that probably goes to your point too of like, what do I focus? Is it tweaking HUD elements and other stuff like that, or do I move on to fully working conquest mode?
Exactly.
That's something we got to discuss.
This is what. But the thing about it is, there'll come a point where like I have nothing else to model in CTF Bridge Too Far, and like you'll be stuck doing the tweaking and the fine tuning, and I need something to do, so I'll probably have to then start branching out and doing other things. So like I could be working on the backstab model while you're still back on Bridge, and then that way once you have the overall game engine ready, then you can just start to apply that to backstab,
Yeah.
But like I said, like I would need to like I would need to really plan ahead, because like I need to start looking for textures now and like potentially looking for models and stuff like that. So it would be good to know like what the general feel is. And I don't actually think backstab would be my other like favorite map, because again I wasn't much of a conquest player. I know it is probably the best conquest map, and I know it will be most requested by the community, but yeah, I think I just have to go with whatever the community select, I guess.
Yeah, because another good like hybrid, if you want to call it that, would be like, I would say my next favorite would be the Nest, because I thought that was good CTF. That was, in my opinion, the best CTF, and it was pretty good conquest too. So it wasn't too, it wasn't too splayed out where you're like too far apart from each other, but you were concentrated enough in the right areas.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Well, the thing about both the Nest and backstab is that they're so different to Bridge Too Far. They're like such a contrast, because it's like Middle East compared to China or wherever. I think this is China.
Yeah.
And in, well, in a really
Indeed.
an industrial area compared to like essentially a desert area. So like I would have to like look for an entirely new set of textures to suit that area, you know.
Right.
And
So
it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for me to try and start some of that early, like get ahead of myself, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
Which is why conversations like this is good. The one thing about backstab is actually I'm gonna show you. I think I'm still sharing my screen. So there is actually models. Unlike Bridge Too Far, there are some of the models in the single player that were actually in the multiplayer level. So I don't know if you can see that. So like that's the actual mosque, and some of this stuff, some of these other buildings, I'm sure were probably used as well, but definitely the mosque. I think I should be able to flick through these. Hold on. Oh yeah, here we go. So there's the back corner. Now you can see it's funny actually because the landscape of the single player level I found was like badly like the building must have just been like plunked on top of like landscape, then wasn't fixed, because I think I found it hard to get in this doorway because it was the levels were so bad. But that's the sort of like a little back courtyard and stuff. This is the inside of the mosque.
That's interesting. Well, that's cool. That's like a throwback.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. And this is just like a view, like I don't know, I guess I was up on a roof nearby, but like there are ways of like extracting on the PS2 version you can extract some models, and it would just give me like a perfect thing to work from in terms of scale and stuff like that. I don't know how to do it at the minute, but there is a member of the Discord group that can pull models off the PS2 version. The only issue is that the PS2 version runs really badly when you emulate it, and actually getting to this point in the game might be difficult. But yeah, I've asked him if he could like get in there and try and pull at least this part off, and like I could just even though the geometry and stuff wouldn't be great, I could like remodel it just like using what we pull out of the game. That'd be like really close. So like if we do go with backstab, at least we have some of the buildings, you know.
Yeah, I could start.
Yeah, but like I think if we were going to go with backstab, like we would have to just focus purely on the conquest element of it, because like I said, like CTF just wasn't that popular.
Yeah, agreed.
On that level, it just no one really played it. But like for me, in terms of the map, I think probably my other favorite being a CTF player was Russian Border. But again, we have that problem where it's just a total change again, where it's like a snowy level, and there's no real there's maybe a couple of storage containers, but other than that, like the buildings are all fairly unique. So
yeah, that's totally different.
Yeah, and to me it's like I don't think there would be enough Russian Border players that would want it over backstab, you know.
Yeah, because Russian Border was very, very much. I don't know. It's definitely. But like you're saying though, it's its own thing. When you start that, it's pretty much all those assets are just for Russian Border. You're not going to be able to port that over to something else.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's so important.
Maybe Cold Front.
Yeah, it's the same. And there was a DLC map called Frostbite, I think, as well. It was like in the snow. But like, it's like when we commit to whatever the next level we pick, we're going to be stuck on that for like easily 6 months to a year. Like I hope we get down to the point where like we can make maps in like 3 or 4 months, but like realistically, when we then pick backstab or whatever we pick as our next level, we're just going to be on that for a long time.
Yeah, but what's nice too is I guess once we get a lot sorted out with this, a lot of the game work will be done, and I'll be able to help out with some of the modeling.
They're definitely
just to get basic stuff.
Yeah, that's I see there being like a point where I can't really do much more on Bridge Too Far, and then there'll be a point where you can't do much more on the actual model after like backstab's done or something. So there'll definitely be points where like both of us will have to move on to something, you know.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, it's a big commitment to make, and if Russian Border was like was a really good conquest map, which I don't believe it was personally, then it's like it's the obvious choice. But like, because backstab, I think we're both pretty settled that because backstab was so popular for conquest, it really has to be the next map to move on to. I think the good thing about Bridge Too Far is I personally think it was both a good CTF map and also a good conquest map. Like, maybe not the best, but like it was still pretty decent.
It was good. It was
popular.
good. Yeah, I'd say it was good for both. Yeah, 100%.
It's probably one of the few maps that actually work well for both, which is partly why I chose it as well. Partly because it's such a flat map as well. Like modeling terrain and like landscaping is not a fun thing to do if you've ever tried it. So that was one of the appealing things to me, was like, this is essentially a flat place, you know. So well, at least where it counts, the outer hills and stuff like that don't really matter if they're like not perfect, because you're not really on them very much. So, and I mean, do we want to talk, is there anything else, is there anything on the merits of moving from, once this is finished, to CTF to making it Conquest, as opposed to just jump, like, do you ever see a time where it would be like, we finish this in CTF and then don't finish it for Conquest but move on to backstab Conquest and leave this as unfinished in Conquest? Or do you think it's just better to have this as both CTF and Conquest, complete it before we move on to another map?
Yeah, that's kind of a tough. Personally, I think I would like a bunch of incomplete or like like this level complete games. It's like, okay, I get the general idea. You know, like if we had this level of backstab, it'd be like, okay, it's backstab. You know, it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'd rather play a bunch of half-finished levels than a fully finished level.
Right.
And that be the only one. You know, like if I had 2 unfinished versus 1 finished, I don't know. I guess, I think I would just rather have more, like just variety.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'd be probably good for me and you as well, just to have some variety, because like I know you can get sick. I mean, what I really hope doesn't happen is that I spend so much time modeling Bridge Too Far that I hate Bridge Too Far.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you look at the buildings like, oh god, no.
Yeah, you know it inside out, and you've looked at it for so long that like you just don't even want to look at it. I know there was a song on the guitar that I always really wanted to play, and I know someone that learned how to play it, and they told me that they played it really well, but they were like they hated that song from then on, because like it took them so long to play it. And I was like, oh, I really want to play that song, I love it. And he was like, well, if you love that song, don't learn how to play it, because you'll never love it again. And I do worry that that'll happen with Bridge Too Far. But maybe I do think that it's good to have something running in the background, which is why I want to start at least thinking about modeling backstab, just as something to kind of take my mind off this level.
For sure, yeah.
All right, well, and then there's one other thing we should probably mention, is the website. So let me just bring it up here quickly. I don't know if you can see on your screen. So you have, I should say, a link to the Trello. So maybe you want, I'll click on it, and if you want, maybe just introduce that and how.
Yeah. So I started just a simple sort of a voting thing we could implement. It needs a little bit of work, and we can figure out what to do here. But you just need to sign in with a Trello account, and you can vote or comment in these particular things of just what you want to see next, or what, you know. There's a bug reporting thing, and this is where I'd like sort of the issue list to be, instead of just like posting it in Discord and it getting lost in the thread of
exactly.
endless stuff.
That does happen in Discord. You have to scroll forever to get to what the
exactly. And you're like, when was that? Was it last year or last month? Or So
Good
just
point.
this would be a place to have everything of like, hey, I want backstab next, or you know what? No, I don't. I want the black gold, whatever.
Yeah.
So simple, but we can elaborate on this.
So. Just for my benefit as well, like, is this linked to the Trello that me and you have? I know I haven't really been on it for a while, but or is that separate? So we like a.
That's a separate one,
Okay.
and I had been working on that too, but it was kind of one of those things like of the bureaucracy of it. It was like, okay, I'm
Oh yeah,
spending
you could spend as much
20
time.
minutes working on this. It's like I could just be
Exactly.
working on it. So I
Exactly.
just sort of I let that one.
Okay. All right. Well,
But
I mean, this will develop anyway. This is just like an initial stab at it, and this will update, and there'll be more voting. And I guess we'll make people aware of when the next vote is on the Discord, but they'll come here to actually cast their vote. So
yeah, that's a good idea.
all right. Well, anyway, that was just a quick video about where we plan on going with the next maps and stuff. Hopefully, it'll be interesting to see where some of the Discord members, what their favorite maps were. I know we didn't really even go over a lot of the maps, but like I think ultimately the next map we spend a lot of time on has to be the most popular anyway. Like I know I love a lot of the maps, like some of them like are really unique and stuff, but like I think it's going to be really hard for us to justify like the amount of work that goes into, for example, like making Missile Crisis. As much as I loved it, it was rarely played. Like it was.
Or Little Big Eye.
Oh yeah, and you know, Little Big Eye is actually not that there's a lot of structure to it, but it's like getting the actual landscape right would just be a real nightmare to try and get it to match what it used to be, because
You'd have to go through so much.
well, you'd have to go through a lot of footage, but bear in mind there is no footage of that level. Like there's maybe one or two files, so it'd be very hard to piece together.
So maybe you just make your own, where it's like it's got a plane in the middle, and that's some villages.
Yeah,
it's just your own interpretation.
I know. I'm guilty of like trying to get things too accurate, like, but I just want to try and get as much as possible. But Missile Crisis was so fun, where it had like that button you could press and like open and close the gate.
Oh yeah, that was pretty unique. I like that.
That was so cool. But I just know that would just to model that map would probably take so long, and for like maybe 3 or 4 people to want to actually play. Everyone's just going to be stuck on backstab, like just like the old days.
It'll be just like the old times. Every server is backstab.
Yeah, we would spend like 6 months modeling Missile Crisis, and then it would be uploaded, and it would be played for the first day just for the novelty, and then it'd be like everyone would just be back on backstab anyway.
Yep.
So
like, yeah, it's fun, but not that fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, good conversation.
For sure.
Interesting to see what anyone else says about this, and you know, hopefully we get to have to actually make this decision not too far in the future.
Yeah.
All right. Definitely. Good talking, man. Catch up next time.
All right. Talk to you later.